o'clock. We will call the town board meeting to order for November 16th, 2020 to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Patrick, you want to give us an update here?
Sure. Mr. Chair, if it pleases the board, we will be adding 3 items under your consent agenda and 1 under supplemental information 6A. First one would be 5G right-of-way and side yard setback variances for 5214 East Bald Eagle Boulevard. 5I, special town board meeting called for November 20th, 2020 at 7:55 a.m. in order to do some check signing for some pertinent and timely payables. And then 5J, Public Safety Commissions, which would be twofold: approve a dead end or no outlet sign request for Ralph Street, and recommend to the county a speed study on Hugo Road from Overlake Road to Buffalo. Those are your consent items, and the special 3-dog license at 5795 Otter Lake Road under supplemental.
All right, that it?
Yes, sir.
All right, hearing that, I need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion carries. Item number 3 is approval of payment of the bills.
I signed off on the check rec, so move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion carries. Item number 4 is the approval of the minutes of November 2nd, 2020. Any changes, additions, deletions?
I'll move to approve as written.
I will second that.
That's like 3 in a row. Nice job, Megan.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion carries. All right, item number 5 is consent agenda. We went from 8 to 10, 11.
11.
If no one has any objection, I would look for a motion to approve.
I will move to approve the amended consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? That motion carries. Moving on, we have old business. First one is the special 3-dog license at 5796 Otter Lake Road. This is a 3-month review. This wasn't a continuation of a public meeting, was it?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, Tom, you gonna review this?
Sorry.
Chad? Or Patrick? Someone?
This was done as a requested follow-up when the board did tentatively approve the 3-dog license, that if there were any issues that would arise, be it by residents in the neighborhood or Ramsey County Animal Control, that it would be reconsidered. I do not believe that any issues have arisen with this 3-dog license.
Well, what about this email we got under the supplemental pack?
Supplemental.
I didn't quite follow how it was written, but it was,
So the dog was inside and windows were open and there were chirping barks. I'm not sure if that constitutes much of an issue to withhold the license.
Well, no, I don't either, but I know you are the dog owner. At some point, I just would like to ask her.
Sure.
Could you step up to the microphone for a quick minute?
just give your name and address, please.
Maribel Alfaro, 5795 Otter Lake Road.
Where, I don't remember, where in relationship does Chris Catone live to you? Does that name ring a bell?
What was
Catones, C-A-T-O-N-E?
Caton?
Yeah, does that,
No? What is that?
that's a person that says the dogs have been barking with the windows
Oh,
open.
no, I don't know that neighbor.
Don't know that
I've
neighbor?
never seen him, no.
Okay. I was just curious if that was behind you, beside you, don't know.
No, unfortunately, that day that he came to our house, I didn't ask him where he lived, so I don't know.
Okay, so he did talk to you. Have you heard from them since? I know
No.
this. Okay,
Nothing,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, 'cause-
And the dogs are doing great now that they use the collar, so, yeah.
Yeah, because with all this correspondence, he doesn't give an address.
Yes. I have no other question at this time. It's more for the board. You can stay there if you want. In the ordinance, if the situation changes, am I correct, Patrick, that this relicense can be revoked
Yes,
if it gets to
Yep.
the point of a problem?
it needs
So,
to be reviewed by the board, but yes.
okay, just so you know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we wanted to do the follow-up.
All right, now, this was a 3-month review, but this license is 2 years?
For 2 years, yeah.
Yep.
Does the board feel that we need to revisit it, or can we, hopefully not have any more complaints, and we'll see you in a year and 6 months?
Yeah,
I don't,
I'm fine with that.
Scott?
Patrick's got a comment.
Just as a comment, if there are complaints, you can always bring it back
Yeah.
for a review.
Or revoke, or revocation.
Right through hearings, so.
But so you understand, I don't want to say a probationary, but if we do start getting complaints again, we're going to ask you to come back in and try to resolve them,
Yeah,
okay?
understand, yeah.
All right, any other questions of the app? No. All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, moving on. We will go to the Emergency Management Team Report.
As everybody's probably well aware, the governor did make an announcement last week to be closing bars and et cetera at 10, right, Patrick?
That's correct.
To curb the rampant uptick in the numbers for COVID. So, after a couple of phone calls with neighboring communities today and a couple of emails, took some registers on what everybody's doing. We would like, or the office staff and Public Works would like to have a plan to the board for its consideration on Friday at your executive board meeting about going to an adaptive workplace schedule beginning next Monday, where we would kind of go back to how we did things in the spring. The offices would remain open, however, we would be doing split shifts across the morning and afternoon, where our staff level in the administrative offices would be cut in half. Rather than carrying 4 employees there, we'd be carrying, or 8 employees, we'd be carrying 4, split in the morning and afternoon. We're going to come up with a little more detailed plan for Public Works because it's a different animal. But we're going to talk through that with Dale and Pete tomorrow to include that in the recommendation to the board on Friday. The rationale behind it being that we are trying to avoid being closed. If we get one case of COVID diagnosed within, or a positive test, we face being closed for 14 days. Period. So just kind of playing statistics and law of averages, we're thinking that if we've got less staff on hand to be breathing on each other for the next 5 or 6 weeks to take us up to the first of the year, our chances hopefully will go down where that will occur. Like I said, we would remain open. We would be providing work off-site or remotely as well, in conjunction with the group that's going to be at our administrative offices. And like I said, Public Works is going to be a little more complicated because they're needed on call if there's emergency, especially, and just the regular routine maintenance that goes on during the week. So we're going to talk that through with Dale tomorrow and have a suggestion or recommendation for you at the end of this week.
How has the technology worked for you when folks are remoting in to do their work?
Depends on who you ask.
Okay.
Is it the user problem or is it the technology?
Oh, is it a
It's
user?
a user problem.
Oh, okay. Well, setting the user problems to the side, how has the technology worked for you?
Very well.
Has it?
Yeah. When we were remoting in over the summer, or spring and summer, we experienced very little to no issues at all.
Okay. People are still able to get stuff
Oh, yeah.
done and shuttle stuff around and
Yep.
communicate or have calls? I know it's easier to walk down the hall
Yes.
and talk to somebody, but still, you can, what, jabber or instant time?
We're gonna lose some efficiencies, just because we're not, as you said, right down the hall. I can't just yell at the hall down to Tom.
You're not supposed to be yelling.
I can't help
In
it.
the manual?
So that, I mean, yeah, that's a little bit of a change, but I thought we operated just fine, Tom. What do you think during?
Yeah. Adequate. It's a
So
struggle.
everybody's,
but
internet
Technology's there. You know, we're getting that phone calls and emails, so.
Well, I know, I think it was, somebody had a problem with internet service. Is that corrected?
That was Lynette, but I believe she has that corrected.
Okay.
So,
How much actual foot traffic are we getting? Any idea? I know you don't sit out front, but.
well, right now we're getting a lot because it's bill paying.
but
But
that-
we were, I mean, we were busy in the spring and summer. If you look at our building permits this summer, were twice what we've ever had at any time. So people were working projects that were coming in. We had contractors. I mean, the place has been really busy. Now, I don't think that's going to be the case for the next couple of months, but I might be wrong. I didn't think we were going to get any activity in the early spring when we shut down, but people took that time to work on their homes inside.
Well, where I was going with this is some communities are just doing appointment only.
Yeah.
Their doors are locked. You gotta get there, call, and you can come in. I mean, are we to that point, or do we have not enough foot traffic that we gotta worry about it?
I don't think we need to worry about it yet. Patrick's got a comment.
Yeah, from our end, just being outside looking in, it's worked very well. I mean, you have two dimensions. You have, the internet and computers, but you can pick up, and I've done this a couple times, Tom, Patrick, I need information. I get a response, within 20 minutes to 30 minutes. I mean, it's working. We don't see any hitches from the outside looking in. And we're information sourced, and it's been very, very good. He's done a nice job of organizing them.
My comment is, as far as the office staff is different than Public Works. Help me figure this out. Public Works, do they have to go very often onto private property
Yeah,
to visit customers?
Yeah.
Or our citizens?
yeah.
Well,
On
that-
Friday, I would like to talk about what I call an inspection safety form, and it's for our protection, for our employee safety, and for the citizen safety. And what I'm proposing is, sometimes it's an emergency, but it's a form that the parties all sign knowingly, just sign their names that they are not COVID symptomatic, they are not, no one in their household is, that our employees aren't, that our vendors aren't, that are on site at that meeting. It's a safety net to say, we take this serious. I'll share a thought with you on Friday about that, but
Okay.
it's only used if they have to meet with people indoors. I mean,
Have you seen something like this?
I have. And I think it avoids potential of litigation, because you brought it to me. Well, you didn't tell me.
Just kind of along those lines, Steve.
Just a
We,
thought.
Lynette and I kind of came to the conclusion today too that we've got 157 radio/meters that we still need to swap out in the township. We have shut that down until we find that it is going to be safe to do so. We did not want to introduce contractors into people's homes at a time like this.
Were those people notified?
They are going to be, yes.
All right.
We just decided this today.
Well, again, if it's important, this, if it worked out right, is potentially a way to do that. It gets our job done, but it also points out that only those people present have to basically confirm that they're not, to their knowledge, they're not COVID sensitive. I'll show it to you.
Okay. Great.
I mean, I come from the insurance background. I've seen it used all across the country for COVID already. And it's used by all kinds of vendors. And they require signatures, just so everybody's up front. I won't come in your house unless you tell me you're safe. Protects the employees. It also protects us from vendors who are in their best interest to make money, sometimes, or that we're holding them accountable for their actions.
Sure. And that
And
makes
it's a
sense-
safety net
makes
for
sense to me.
citizens. So if we can make it work, I'd give a suggestion and have our lawyers review it and change it however they think is best. It's just a thought from me. I don't have the
Okay.
decision.
I'm open to anything right now. This is just,
We're in a new world.
yeah, and you know, we're trying to roll with it as best we can. I do think that our traffic, through the administrative offices is manageable with what we have in place now with our glass between our staff and visitors, and we're very thorough about cleaning and wiping that all down. So I think we're still at a point where we can be open to the public.
Sure.
So,
And from the Public Works perspective, I'd kind of go in that direction. I think you need to talk to the management team there and stagger meetings, whether they congregate there in the morning to start their job. Maybe they should all not be there at the same time, and same with lunch, and at the end of the day, I don't think there's a reason that we can't work around more than a few people in the building at the same time, and same with traveling. If they have to go from the building to a job site, there shouldn't be two of them in a vehicle. We have that in our control, for the most part, to do what we can to isolate our employees to keep them healthy.
and that's what we're gonna try to do. And that's
So just
the reason I'm suggesting this, now. Don't wanna lose anybody because that really just knocks the rest of us
We have to
out.
take care of our herd.
Yeah.
All right, so if we come up with some kind of plan on Friday,
Mhm.
are you looking to start it the following week?
Yeah. We're closed for 2 days anyway,
Well, that's true.
so I figure we might as well just.
So
hit the
before
ground.
Friday, we also ask the employees what, the management pieces of the Public Works, so we have their input as to what they think.
We're gonna get
is
it
the-
tomorrow.
All
And we
tomorrow?
will present that to you on Friday. I think the administrative office side of it's a little more simple. Public Works is gonna take some talking through, I think. So, but, we had a setup in the spring, in the early part of the summer that seemed to work pretty decently.
Plus, they're busier then.
Yeah, that's
Now
true.
it's,
Well, with snow,
right, but that really, except for some maybe general light maintenance, is there anything else going on? Parks are down. I mean, I would think this would probably be an easier time to start moving guys around.
you might be right.
And they don't double up for plowing anyway, so.
No, they don't. So, just wanted to give you a heads up, that's what's coming next.
All right, anything else on the contract group?
We had our Thursday meeting canceled, this coming Thursday, because almost a third of the deputies for Ramsey County are out on COVID now. And they are advising that we not congregate, so, at the Ramsey County Sheriff's Department.
And so we can expect an increase in our Ramsey County Sheriff's contract?
Well, I think that was one of the reasons behind their request for the overtime, is that they are mandating 12-hour shifts for their staff right now. And they're gonna be asking to cover the overtime costs from us. At least they were as of last week. I have not heard any follow-up yet. So,
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to be called upon, like the Hennepin County Sheriff, to supplement the city of St. Paul.
you heard anything about
I
St.
haven't heard a
Paul?
word, but
No.
only Minneapolis.
Okay.
The Hennepin County Sheriff's Department is
Yeah.
supplementing their department. I have not heard anything from St. Paul, but
I haven't either.
they've got to be down staff also, so between the two law enforcement agencies, we may be limited.
Yeah, you're right. So,
All right, anything else under emergency management?
no, sir, I think that's enough for now. Unless you got something, Patrick.
No.
I'll just say this, again, if if the governor tomorrow comes out with a edict of something that needs a decision, we have our emergency management team. And as a board member, I again will say, you guys are charged with that responsibility, and you've got it put together. From my perspective, make the decision.
Okay.
Scott?
All right, any other questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll move on. Item number 7 is a public hearing regarding a conditional use permit at 5960 Highway 61. I need a motion to waive the reading.
I'll move to waive the reading.
Second that.
Made and second, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, then I need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, Tom, you taking this one?
I am, yes. So this is the Bald Eagle Quick Stop property up on Highway 61 between Libel Street and County Road J. One time it was a strip center with a car wash. The car wash was converted to a liquor store. Apparently business as well, because they are running out of space and have requested approval of a conditional use permit to add a 15 by 17 addition onto the rear of the building there itself. Because that was
When
a
you
car.
say rear, is that the east side?
It's going to be the east side of the building. Yeah, it was actually the old entrance to the car wash back there. So it's already paved and being utilized for parking, so they're really not adding any more hard surface to the site than it's already there. Liquor store is a conditional use in the B2 business zone, which that is, so it does require approval of a conditional use permit. Requires a hearing for a conditional use permit, and that's why we're here tonight. So, again, it's a fairly simple 15 by 17 addition. It's just for warehousing at the rear of the building, and that's it, essentially. So it went to the Planning Commission at their meeting in October. And they did recommend approval of the conditional use permit as requested. There were a couple of conditions attached to that. Some of those were previous conditions, but one of the things were enclosed trash enclosures have not been put on site, so we want to make sure that we get those included if this is this conditional use permit is approved. So that would be one of the recommended requirements of this CUP.
Is there any changes in hours of operation? Okay.
Nothing like that, no.
What about lighting, signage, nothing?
The owner said it was just a place, he needed storage space for his products. Mainly kegs.
All right, looks pretty straightforward. Any questions of the board of Tom?
The question I would have is, apparently there was a trash enclosure required in the conditional use permit in 2017, and it's still not there. So are we comfortable that it will be added this time?
Yes. It will be added this time.
You didn't look very confident.
No, I've had that discussion with the
Okay, I
owner
was curious
already
if
to
that's already been
say what
discussed.
happened.
Yeah, and
He met the other conditions, one of which was tearing down a non-conforming building. But should be 2 trash enclosures on site there.
Is that space on the east end, is that employee parking now? Is he losing parking places now?
Not really, it's just kind of shifting because it was that whole driveway to the back of the car wash.
Well, I'm kind of curious, we didn't get any plans here. We didn't get any.
Yeah, there should be plans, but it's pretty basic. But I can show it to you.
Sorry, to interrupt, Scott, you got anything else?
I was wondering if there were plans as well.
They were shared with the planning commission, I can tell you that much.
Well, they carry more weight than we do.
Yeah, I'm just, I know
People
I'm
go on
kind of an
vacation,
afterthought.
we kind of give you a...
You're just making sure you're.
So
sharp.
this is the addition proposed right here. Yeah. Right there.
Is that trash enclosure off to the right, or what is that?
Yeah, they were to be here and down here. And this building here has been removed.
And then obviously the building just conforms to the existing one, colors, design?
Same materials, exactly, yes.
All right, any questions to Tom? Hearing none, I need a motion to open it up for public comment.
I'll move to open it up for public comment.
Second.
Fair say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have an empty room, so I guess there's nobody here to talk about it. I guess I'll look for a motion to close.
I'll move to close the public portion of the hearing.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, looks like just one motion for the conditional use permit with the stipulation of these added items they got here.
I'll make a motion based on the planning commission and staff review and recommendation, approve the South Winds Holding request for a conditional use permit to construct a 255 square foot warehouse addition onto the liquor store building at 5960 Highway 61, with the, I guess I'll call them the condition, with the following requirements, that they put in place the trash enclosures that were approved in the 2017 permit before the construction.
Second on the
I'll
motion?
second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. Moving on, under new business, we have the town clerk treasurer annual performance evaluation.
Do we have enough time?
Did we get issued assault rifles? Firing squad?
Brought the Cavalier vest, too. Okay, so procedurally, I would ask that this remain an open meeting. We don't have to close it, correct?
Yeah, pursuant to Minnesota Chapter 13D, employee performance evaluations may be closed, but the meeting can be opened at the employee's request. So he's
That's my
stating.
request.
So you don't have anything to hide?
No, I wish it was more exciting and I could. Also procedurally, just, when we're done here this evening, please send a copy of what you have to either Patrick or Chad, probably Patrick, because you're more HR. And send a copy to me, and that will go into my file as well,
Can I just hand it to you?
if you want to. So, with that, I would open up to comments and suggestions on what has been submitted to you for your review. I'm sorry if there's one section in the review about, let's just add additional comments, and I only put COVID. I think that's really the only additional comment that I need to make, but I would ask for your feedback now as to what you would like to see me perform on behalf of the township in the upcoming year, if you do choose so to keep me on board. And we can start from there.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a couple of comments. Overall, I still remain very pleased that you were the candidate accepted for this position. Overall, I think you have fulfilled at least what I thought you should be doing for the year. So I'll leave it at that for the moment. So I
Okay.
think you've done a decent job. Then I'll come back.
Got?
Well, I came on about the same time you did, so it's been a learning curve for me. And as I said last year, I'll say again now, I do appreciate the extra reminders that you give me periodically as I kind of stray outside the boundaries. So I do appreciate that. I like the obvious flexibility that you demonstrated this year because of all the challenges and hurdles we had. And the fact that you're always thinking ahead is great, because sometimes it's like, what do we do now? But you're already kind of suggesting in your way. If I may make a suggestion, which shows that there's foresight, and I always like foresight than constantly being in a reactive mode. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Well, you know what? This has been a really tough 2 years to start this new job.
Yeah.
I got to admit, you've adapted pretty well, because it's this, especially this year, has been new for all of us, so it's a learning curve for all of us. But it seems that you've handled this very professionally and very thoroughly. Just with our discussions right now, what we're gonna do on Friday. We're trying to stay ahead of this. We're trying to keep township residents with a township that runs. I do appreciate those Friday afternoon updates, because that kind of, a lot of things, sometimes the staff knows about them and you know about them, but we don't get to hear about them. So we like to, even if it's trivial and sometimes nonsensical, we want to know about them.
Okay.
It's the same with any other ongoing, even water main breaks, something with Public Works. It's nice that the board is informed. There's been incidences where I either find out from a resident or the news what's happening in the township, and
Yeah.
it's kind of nice to be able to stay ahead of that, so.
You know what? I apologize for that. We got about 4 months into doing the Friday afternoon reviews to you guys. It just got to the point with COVID where I was sending you 3 or 4 correspondences a week anyway, so I stopped with the Fridays. But I sure can do that for you.
But it's just nice to have that, just that one little sheet of
Yep.
the current progress, what's going on, so it just keeps us informed so we know what's happening.
Absolutely.
I'll follow up on that, as an example, that house that we burnt. I mean, both you and I commented on that we learned about it after the fact. That would have been nice to have been ahead of that.
So did I.
Yeah, well, there you go. So reiterate that. But I made a note that you've done a good job with the potential of our COVID, as you indicated, but also the lawsuits of the lake. You've kept us very informed on water gremlin as far as our obligations. I think you've done a good job differentiating issues that we have no control over, that are state-controlled issues versus township issues. I think you've done a nice job with that. I said your strength, and I'll just throw this out there since you want to have a public meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I found you to be a very good listener. I found you to be task-oriented, and I think you've adapted as the world goes, it changes.
Not by choice. And it's more
And
necessity.
I'll just read my comments and then leave it on that. Areas that I think you could work more on, or should work more on, is staff succession planning. You indicated that there are some key positions that are changing
Yep.
in the next few years. And I think, just like your predecessor, I think we need to get ahead of that before that happens, because it comes quickly. If it involves people getting development that exists, we need to be ahead of that now, or if it's that we're going to change the jobs to something different, I think the board needs to have the vision of what you see your needs are in those key roles. And I also said I think you need some, continuing kind of what Scott said about technology enhancements for efficiency gains. I know one of the projects you took on, as you stated, was taking all the paper documents and getting them electronically scanned, but there may be other technology that would make our operation run more efficiency, avoiding the process of having to hire additional people if we can do something from a technological, cost-effective approach. So, and then the last thing it says in your description here was what assistance or resources are needed to address developmental needs. I had just put down planning and connections to technical support groups.
Yeah.
I'm not if there are areas where you can get strategic planning help, by all means, I support it. So, that's what I had.
Okay.
Anything else to add, Scott?
Out of curiosity, as you came into this role, you were wrapping up some educational milestones, certification, designation. Do you have that in your plan for the future? Is there any additional ones?
Well, I'm going to finish my PhD probably 2.5 years from now.
2.5 years.
Yep.
Is that something that you're working on now, or did you put on hold? Or is that
I've been
something that we
working on
need
it.
to
Yep.
check in on periodically?
So I haven't stopped. I got bogged down in the spring a little bit with everything, but completed my spring semester. I'm in the middle of the fall semester right now. I've got one more independent study coming up in the spring, and then I do a comprehensive exam, and then it's all dissertation work. So,
Will we have to change your title?
Yeah, you're not a
yeah,
doctor.
you'll have to call me
then.
Dr. Pat.
Oh. Dr. Pat?
And as soon as I graduate and I have that, it's going to be on my wall in my office. And when you come into my office, you're gonna have to say, Doctor,
Is that an order?
yes.
I don't
Actually,
think you have that authority.
I'd be more than honored to award it to you right at the town board meeting.
Okay,
That's a big deal, I
Sure.
think.
I agree, it's
be great.
tremendous.
Yeah, and I'm only doing that as a pad to my retirement plan. So I'm gonna teach on the side, kind of quarter time after I retire at 65. I'm not hanging out till I'm 70 like Bill. Bill takes better care of himself, by the way.
Well, going through the evaluation, the only thing I struggle with is your daily activities with staff. We're a little bit removed from that. I mean, I talk to staff on and off, and I guess I'm not hearing anything negative, so everything must be going fairly well there. But, so we kind of rely on your input as to how things going between staff members and you. So, because, it's just something we're just not knowledgeable to.
How would you like me to get that to you? Just,
I don't know if there is a,
There's not a good way to do it. I mean, I
No.
sit on some other boards, and it's the same struggle. How do you rate the executive director? Well, based on my personal evaluation. Well, how do they interact with the staff?
sight of us sitting there for a couple, 3 days in a row watching you.
it's tough. And then you get nervous about violating data privacy about folks, but, I don't know.
To say, I suppose an option, I don't know, maybe, to me, it's an option if a month before your review happens, that there was some kind of snaps of what you're being evaluated on, provided to all the employees, that they could send if they want. No force. They could address it to the law firm, as far as I'm concerned, but
That gets into your system is working. One of the basic things is Patrick's response to the day-to-day operations. You don't want to get into, I have too much work, I don't know, or this,
That's
there's
true.
a lot of interchange going. So sometimes when you open it up for, evaluations, there's a trust factor, by staff going, well, I'd really like to write this, but I'm not, or I'd really like to do this. So I think, Chair, when you said if you heard rumblings or something like that, if a staff person is contacting a board member about an issue of it, that's wrong. All right, that's totally wrong, unless there's something to do with fraud, a criminal act. That could just create problems. But you're so tight as a community. We, in the past, I could tell you, there were ripples, between Bill and certain staff members, and we'd have to work those out. So his approach to management is fairly wide open. It is open, period. So I think in this area about saying, Chair, like, how does staff think he's doing? Well, obviously, he's doing a great job, because you answer to the citizens, and the citizens had a mandate in the last election for the town board. So I think that type of area, I don't know, I've worked with corporations that have some type of evals, but they don't really pay attention to them. So it's
Well, that was part of the reason why human resources was
There
a
you
good
go.
line for you to establish and get going. So that gave them another option. They don't have to come to you. They can go to an independent and not feel slighted or pressured or embarrassed or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think this board has ever tried to micromanage the township staff. I know back many years ago, there were a few board members that liked to sit in Public Works and tell them how to plow. I don't know, but I think we've always figured that we try to hire the best quality people we can find, and we're very confident that you'll do the job we've asked of you.
Okay, good.
So, but getting back to this form, so when you're asking those kind of questions, I don't know how we can
Yeah.
even respond to those.
Yep.
So maybe that's something we just take off of this form too.
I could amend it if you'd like.
Yeah,
Chair.
because I don't, there's no way I know what kind of reaction you have. I mean, the only time we really see that is our exec board meetings, when we have a lot of staff in the meetings.
Yeah.
Now, you guys have what, meeting once a week,
Staff meeting every other week.
every other week?
Yep. We're a small crew.
Okay, well,
There's very little that isn't said.
all right. Well, I was just going, was it something maybe needed to be every week? I don't know. But if, that, again, you know better than we do, so.
Yeah, I think the 2 a month seems to do the job. And usually we have, on a last minute basis, there's a group of 3 or 4 of us, if we have to talk something through, we do.
How long does that meeting run?
That happens several times a week,
How long is that meeting for?
5-10 minutes.
Your every other week meeting is only 5?
Oh, no, that one's usually hour and a half.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would it, I don't know, I guess maybe I would like to sit in on 1 or 2 of those once in a while.
You're more
And maybe
welcome
that would
to.
be good for all of us to sit in on those.
10 o'clock the Tuesday after every board meeting.
All right. I think board might want to consider that, just if you got time or if you're, want something to,
I was gonna say, we can't do it collectively unless we're calling.
No.
Yeah,
No, we
one
have-
at a time, you sure
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Yep.
or even if we set up, if you guys are interested, we can set up a schedule too, but that might be informative for us.
Sure.
Because, like I said, there's just, you guys have your, way of doing things, and we only get to hear how you're doing it. Maybe sometimes it would be helpful to see how it's going.
Sure. Now, you're more than welcome to.
Other than that, most of my comments, Steve kind of went through a couple of them.
Figures.
And I think the only other thing I had was, I know, we were spoiled a long time with Bill, because Bill knew the township inside and out. And that's just going to take you a while versus interaction with residents and getting the history, and it's a lot. So,
Yeah.
and that's just an ongoing thing that's going to take a while for you. So sometimes we have to be patient to that, because
He's the resource right now, but
Tom, you look surprised.
Give them about 50% half-truths. It's kind of fun.
It's kind of like what we do with Scott. We don't tell him it's coming till it's come. It's here.
That's true.
Bill is a ready resource at any time. I probably talk to him half a dozen times a month. Then I've got 30 years to my right. I've got 25 across the hall and to my left, and I've got another 30 over to my right on the corner.
Which those experienced people are going to
Are phasing out.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
And that is why the planning.
And that's why I sweat and don't sleep at night.
But
That and all the coffee.
That too. It's a bad combo.
with planning, that'll help ease some of that.
I do have a plan, and I've discussed it on the side that when I'm comfortable and we get official notification by one of our employees, I will present that plan to you. Isn't that right, Tom?
All right, any other questions or comments, or?
Well, I have a comment on the objectives, but not on his performance.
Oh, please.
Mr. Chair, can I bring
Sure.
that up at the same time, or?
I didn't even bring those with.
Oh, well. My question has to do with, you're going to review and rewrite all township ordinances.
Yes, sir.
Does that include the online permitting?
Yes, sir.
Because to me, that, you just said your foot traffic, really, to me, that's a high priority to try and limit foot traffic.
That will be fully available first of the year.
Amen.
Yep, Karen's been working through it, and we're having a logistics meeting on it, I believe, next Tuesday. Which you're more than welcome to sit in on too, Tom.
And then, I'd like to make sure that I think we talked about doing conflict of interest signings. We did when we put our personnel, or our changes in.
Yep.
And that's going to be annual, so could that be in yours, that you have those completed on conflicts of interest?
We did it last year, right?
We did when we put the new program together, but I thought we were going to do it on an annual basis, just to keep it in front of employees, that if you got something going on the side, for example, you should tell us about it if it has any way, shape, or form can influence your ability to be an employee.
You're right, you did
of
say that.
Township.
Yep.
So I just think, I'd like to have that as an objective and an ongoing annual objective, that we do look into that.
Tell you what,
Uh-oh.
we just started annual performance evaluations. We should maybe make that form part of that when they sign off as being completed.
I've seen more places have an annual attestation,
Yeah.
and that would be
Yes.
perfect right here.
In today's world, people have lots of other little ventures going on, and they may not even realize they
Yep.
have a potential. But they're protecting themselves, along with the township, by saying, you know, I got this side business, I don't think it has anything impacts on my ability to do my job as a public works employee, but at least they're telling you that you can decide, and if it's something you need to share legally, you got that avenue to say, is this any way, shape, or form a problem for us? Because the last thing we want to do is be embarrassed,
Yeah.
and including the board members, personally.
Yeah, and actually, I do remember you saying that. I will make that part of our evaluation process. So,
Okay, I'm off my soapbox now.
that wasn't much of a soapbox.
I could go longer.
All right, Scott, you got anything else?
Can I ask
All
a
right.
question of Patrick real quick before we
Ooh,
adjourn?
Well, yeah,
adjourn?
well, but we haven't decided if you're still staying on.
Okay, then, you know what? I'm gonna keep my question to myself until that is made.
Actually, that was my question, is this, do we have to accept your formal review, and then do we make a motion on that tonight?
Yes. Yep. Your motion would be, the employee has has met minimum expectations and will be retained for another,
What number did you need, by the way?
what was it 147?
Ooh,
no, well, it's the 170-147 is minimum.
Minimum, right. Yeah, I had 170.
you just skated. God, this is fun.
I can tell.
So as part of your evaluation process, your own evaluation goes in this packet.
Yes.
This is your self-assessment.
Correct.
I submit my assessment of his performance and recommend he be retained.
Is that a motion, Steve?
Yes, it is.
I'll second that.
All right, motion's made and seconded to keep Patrick Christopherson as our town clerk treasurer for another year.
For better or for worse.
Sure for poor, yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, now you can ask
Thank you,
our town
gentlemen.
attorney what you.
It has been an interesting couple of years. I keep hoping that it's gonna start to level out.
We tell you it was a fluke.
Every time Bill gets on the phone with me, I pick it up from him. He doesn't even start talking, he starts laughing.
Timing's everything.
So kind of getting back to the question about virtual meetings. When we're on video like this, are we complying to open meeting law?
Yes.
Can we shut the door and do video?
Yes, but it's the notice is so, you can do a virtual meeting in your basement or wherever. And the fact that your question, would you have the board here?
Yeah. And have it broadcast, but not allowing public in. I'm not sure what the caveat is.
Yes, you know, my instinct, again, because we're in what we call a fluid circumstance, that is, we meet all the notice requirements, and the residents have a chance to participate by Zoom, which we do. I don't see a problem with that. But I'll double check it, but I mean, for me, the big thing is notice, the ability to participate. So you're doing that, but you're not exposing the board or staff members to additional exposure to COVID. So I could probably back you on that, but I just want to double check.
So is that saying we're Zooming, even though we're sitting here, we're Zooming? Because citizens have to have a way to communicate,
That's the key.
and so that's the Zoom, but then we'd all have to be on. sitting here.
I'm sorry for interrupting, Mr.
No.
Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you'd have to select your platform, so the citizens could interchange and engage at that point. The Patrick's part of the way there, he said, well, we're we're on a videotape, but it was, you'd have to have a situation where citizens can call in and,
And we
ask.
TK just bought and hooked up a new conference phone for here.
There you go.
There wasn't one before, there is now. So we can have that available on any posting, and we can hold the meeting here and have it video. And so if people have comments or something, they can call in. Now, I know that's unwieldy and difficult to manage if you got, because right now, I think there is a feeling that people don't want to come to public meetings because of the pandemic. So on the phone call, whereas you might be getting 2 or 3 people here, on a phone call you might get 20, which becomes difficult to manage, right?
Yes. As an example, Little Canada does Zoom or phone conference type meetings on that. And you're right, management, you have to have almost a director sitting in the back, and the individual says, so-and-so is going to address the city council. And it's kind of like a control system, and they just filter that through. That's doable, but you have to have some type of person allowing the kind of like, not the gatekeeper, but that there's easy access. And you may have 20 people rotated on hold until they get a chance to talk. You may not. I had an assessment hearing. I think there were 2 call-ins on that, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's doable.
Well, I'm a real Luddite when it comes to technology, so what you're saying though is we still have to be on Zoom plus being under closed circuit.
No. So you would be on closed circuit, but you'd have the conference phone available for people to call in. That's how you're allowing the public.
That's a
All right,
different
so
platform.
there is no way for them to Zoom into the meeting, it's just strictly by phone.
I think we could.
Like, you'd have to have a gatekeeper.
Yeah, that
so to
becomes
say.
even more complicated, I think.
That's what I was trying to, but, so then technically, that door is locked? They can't come in?
I don't know if we're legally allowed to lock the
Or,
door.
no, I shouldn't say locked, but it's a closed meeting, they can't,
No, we wouldn't use, I'm sorry.
yeah, I know.
No,
it's
we're not going to use closed
terminology.
meeting, yeah. Let's, a suggestion is that, let's talk about this a little bit when we get you some clear direction.
Okay.
But I think you have a good idea there, and you can do, it's interesting that, again, what the township's noted for is access to the
Yeah.
board. So
And I don't want to
okay.
lose that.
No,
I think that, and I don't know, we've got a good rapport with our residents, good, bad, or indifferent. I just feel like it's there.
You know, on a Zoom as an example, if you're the chair, you control the who's muted, who isn't muted, so but you gotta be a gatekeeper, because
Yeah.
someone has to control who's talking and in what order. And I noticed the state of Minnesota, the state of Minnesota, they have a person that says, okay, we got Kevin on the phone from Hutchinson who wants to ask a question to
Yeah.
the governor. So he's said that he's got a question, and then the next one and the next one, but it takes a little action. So it can be done.
Let's do the logistics on that. I would say still, I think I mentioned before, our budget and levy meeting coming up, I still say we go forward with as scheduled. Here, we will arrange the room where it's appropriately distanced. We'll eliminate a lot of this stuff, but after that, I think we look at doing virtual somehow. If we can do it where it's closed circuit and it's just on phone, I think that's the best way to do it. But there might be, maybe there's another way.
Speaking of that meeting, will we have our new communication set up so people
Yes.
can hear?
Yeah,
Oh, great.
yeah. It's already set up. I must have it back there. He also said he has a budget to put in the TV that you guys were talking about as well. So,
All right,
okay,
to be continued.
thank you, gentlemen.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, we have no other added agenda items, so that concludes, we're no one here for open time. So item 11 is I need a motion to receive agenda materials and supplements.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned at 7:55.